3, 2, 1.
You ready?
Listening to the Real Pineapple Podcast Network. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. This is the Real Pineapple. This is your humble host, Hunter here. Hope you're all having a great weekend so far. I have a review for this new indie movie called Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. It's directed by this new indie director, Sam Raimi. It, of course, stars Benedict Cumberbatch, Elizabeth Olsen, oh my gosh, why am I blanking? Rachel McAdams, Benedict Wong, Xochitl Gomez making her debut as America Chavez. So, okay. I normally always say full spoilers, for most film, like half of the films that we review here. But because this is a special case, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and do kind of a non-spoiler review. I will give my grade, and then I'm gonna move into spoiler stuff, because to really talk about things I like, I have to get into spoilers, but I don't want to just, go blah. So, alright, so jumping in here, the movie starts off, so to back up just a tiny bit. So, Scott Derrickson, he was the one who directed the first Doctor Strange, him and Marvel. He left Multiverse of Madness due to creative differences, essentially saying he didn't want to make, he didn't get to make the horror film he wanted to make. And so they bring in Sam Raimi, who of course hasn't directed anything, in about a decade. So it was crazy that they were actually able to get Sam Raimi, and a lot of people, myself included, were like, okay, let's see what he's got. Is Sam Raimi going to be able to, go ahead and return to prominence? Because the last film he directed was Oz the Great and Powerful, which I think Oz the Great and Powerful is actually good. It becomes way less good after you've seen Wicked, but it's good. I think it's a good movie. And then before that was Drag Me to Hell in 2009 and Spider-Man 3 in 2007. And look, I've reviewed Spider-Man 3. I am not a fan of it. There's a couple good parts in it, but what I was really curious to see is Sam Raimi, can his weirdness, can his, horror aspects, can they work inside the, confines of the MCU formula? And in short answer, fuck yeah, they can. Oh my god, this movie. So, okay, Kevin Feige said back when, they announced Disney Plus and they said they're going to start putting the MCU, in TV show format. He did talk about the fact that we are leaning more into real world shit and really going to lean more into horror. And when you think back to WandaVision, where, you see that image of dead Vision, and I think that's in episode 3, I think, where you see that, the jump scare of Miss Minutes in the Loki finale, the shot of John Walker and Falcon and the Winter Soldier with the blood on his shield. Marvel has definitely been leaning more into these horror elements, and this is really them blowing their wad, because there's a shocking amount of horror in this movie that really made me go, wow, I'm really impressed. But to go ahead and jump into the plot, so the movie really kicks off running, or hits the ground running. We're introduced immediately to America Chavez. And Xochitl Gomez is America Chavez, and she is running with a Doctor Strange variant that is chasing her. And long story short, there's this incredibly disturbing looking monster. It almost looks like like if you made a monster out of a ribbon. It's really creepy looking, but they're being chased by this monster who wants to go ahead and drain her for her power. And I won't get into a whole thing with America Chavez, but long story short, what you need to know is that she has the capability, her big power is that she can just walk through different dimensions. She doesn't need a spell or anything. She can just walk through them. And so this Doctor Strange, in his last gasp, as he's dying, goes ahead and helps send her to our world. And as that happens, our Stephen Strange, played by Benedict Cumberbatch, of course, wakes up in his bed like, holy shit, what a fucking nightmare. And so in regards to the movie, I would definitely say you need to watch WandaVision before you watch this. I think if you watch Loki too, I would definitely say watch both of those. I know some people were saying you need to watch What If too, and no, you don't. You don't need to watch What If. Full disclosure, I have not finished What If. I got into it, and I'll be real, the T'Challa Star-Lord stuff, I thought fucking ruled, and of course the Captain Carter stuff, but I don't know, it just didn't grab my interest in a way that really the other MCU shows have, but I digress. So something that I do love about this movie is that they definitely build on Endgame and on Doctor Strange, and what I mean by that is one of the things I love about these about the MCU really in general, is, when you see someone like a Captain America, when you see someone like like a Hawkeye, because they've gone through so much, they've gone through at least a Avengers film, you get to see how their moveset evolves, how their powers evolve, how their gadgets evolve. And, in the first Doctor Strange, that was back in, that was 2016. Back then, with that film, it was almost like Steven was doing almost like drunken style. Like he was almost like getting lucky as far as, falling into the magic he was able to do. It was more about him surviving, not about him actually, being more offensive. He's more of a defensive sorcerer, I would say. In this case, he really does have a firm grasp of his powers, and he's showing out quite a bit, because the first initial big fight scene we get is after he has gone ahead and shown up at Christine's wedding. Christine, of course, played by the lovely Rachel McAdams, who gets more to do in this movie, and I'll definitely get to that in the spoiler section, but she's getting married to a brother, which, hell yeah, I cannot remember the brother's name. I'll just call him Lucky. That seems apropos. But yeah, he's marrying a black dude. Hell yeah. And something that I love is that Steven's clearly hurting. I mean, he loves Christine. And this movie, that was my biggest complaint about the first film, is I wish there was more time to let Christine and Steven's relationship breathe as far as him caring about her. Because, you go back and you watch, First Avenger, you get that Peggy and Steve love each other. You go back and watch the first Iron Man, you totally understand that, Pepper and Tony love each other. You go back and watch, the first Avengers, you get the level of friendship that Clint and Natasha feel for each other. That is just missing in the first Doctor Strange. In this, it's way more prominent, it's way more fleshed out, and it makes this film better because of it. But they have this really quick, but this really cool talk where, she gets married, and he's just sitting there talking to her like, congratulations. He actually literally turns water into wine, which I thought was such a cool little, I was like, oh, Steven, you crafty bastard. But he gets right down to brass tacks and asks her, like, why didn't we work out? And I remember her response reminded me so much of Kristen Bell talking to Jason Segel in Forgetting Sarah Marshall, where, and I'm not saying that Christine is a bitch, but I remember watching Forgetting Sarah Marshall, and you just go, man, Sarah Marshall's kind of terrible. But then when you find out why she left him, about, how I couldn't drown with you any longer, you go, fuck, that's actually a very fair reason to leave someone. And Christine right here drops this knowledge going, you always had to be the one holding the knife. I could always respect you for that, but I could never love you for it. And it's one of those things that when I heard it, I went, fuck, okay, that's a completely valid reason to not want to be romantically linked with someone. And you even kind of see Steven is kind of taken back by it, but I think in his heart of hearts, he gets it too. I will say for me, this movie in particular, the acting across the board is something that I just went, yeah, all these people were cast so perfectly. And with Benedict Cumberbatch, especially coming off the Power of the Dog, which, I've talked about Will Smith, but god damn it, he should have won. If it wasn't him, it should have been Garfield. It should have been Garfield, then him. But Nicolas Cage is in there too. Anyways, but Cumberbatch really does show out here in a way that I just went, yeah, this is why Benedict Cumberbatch is one of the best actors we have in the game. I was so happy to see him get some more development. The way that he's introduced to America Chavez, he goes ahead and saves her from this monster called Gargantos. But the character design is clearly supposed to be Shuma-Gorath, who they don't call Shuma-Gorath because that character is actually a Conan the Barbarian character. I can't remember who owns the rights to Conan, but it's not Disney. So clever workaround. But what I love about that fight scene in particular is that it just shows that New York just can't get a break. 2, it shows how not just Strange has evolved, but Benedict Wong being the Sorcerer Supreme, you get to see why he's the Sorcerer Supreme. Wong really is a badass in this movie for the action bits he gets, and I was really happy to see him get some more shine. The way they go ahead and defeat Gargantos 2 is really brutal in that horror movie sort of way. And there is this point where, to become Doctor Strange, he of course has the cloak of levitation still. Steven is talking to Christine, and because he's still at the wedding, and he jumps off this balcony and the cloak grabs him as he jumps down. And it's very reminiscent of Iron Man with the bracelet in Avengers, where he's just free falling. It's a really cool shot, and something I was just like, yep, hell yeah, give me more of that. But that goes ahead, and oh god, what else can I talk about without spoiling? So I mentioned America Chavez. She is getting the Sam Wilson, Anthony Mackie treatment, a la Captain America Winter Soldier. She's not given, a ton to do. The scenes that she gets, the minutes that she gets in the film, she maximizes her time. When you find out what her origin is, the character, by the way, has only been around in the comics for about a decade, which is why when I heard they were bringing her in, I went, oh wow, hell yeah. Because they're doing the same thing with Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan, bringing in a character that hasn't been around that long, but giving him shine. I love seeing that. Her role in particular, yes, she is definitely a MacGuffin because, her power being taken is really one of the main plot points. But we get to learn a little bit about her parents. We get to learn about where she comes from. We really learn at the end of the day, she's a scared fucking kid who has this power that it doesn't seem like she really wants at all, but that she's able to go ahead and utilize. But she's very Violet from The Incredibles in that way, where there are points where she's kind of called upon to use her powers, and of course they're delaying it because she's freaking out and doesn't know what she's doing. But when she gets her time to actually show out and shine and actually utilize her strength, it is a really cool moment that does feel earned for me. The scene in the trailer, which, okay, I'm gonna segue real quick. I have not hidden the fact that I love like 90% of what Marvel puts out is usually like a B plus or above. Like that's their floor. The MCU kicks ass. One thing I really wish they would do though, give me a teaser trailer, give me a trailer, and just leave it alone. But there were so many, there's like 2 or 3 trailers with this or TV spots. I do wish that Marvel would pull back on the marketing. Like, I understand it's a hype machine. You gotta get people excited. But I wish they would just show less, or give me less of an opportunity for, things to get spoiled. Again, that's just me. Gripe. Anyways, moving on. Oh gosh, what else can I talk about? There is a jump scare. There's a couple jump scares in this, and there are multiple very much, Sam Raimi staples, whether it's, these crazy camera shots, the way he kind of makes the camera spin, body dysmorphia in this from the horror aspect. Some shots of blood that actually are fear-inducing, like nightmare-inducing. I would strongly recommend that if you're a parent and you have a 11-year-old, like between 11 and 13, I would see this first. Like, I rarely tell parents, screen movies for your kids, because the ratings are there for a reason. But even though this is PG-13, I would really watch this first. first before you watch it with your kids, because this will hit streaming at some, probably July, maybe late July. But yeah, this was just, there are some jump scares and some disturbing images in this. I would, your kids better than I do, obviously. Think about that and just think about how easily your kids get scared, because if they get scared easily, don't take them to see this shit. But the horror elements all fucking worked for me. Yeah, I think that's about all I can say without getting the spoilers. So, the film for me is a fan-fucking-tastic. I rarely do this, but I would say not rewatching, but watching this and rewatching No Way Home, while I love Spider-Man is my favorite, my favorite comic book character ever. I've always said that. This is a better film for me. So I'd probably give Spider-Man a low fan-fucking-tastic, because I did rewatch it and I still love the hell out of that movie. But the Jamie Foxx humor, that just doesn't work for me. It does bug me more on a rewatch. So I would give it a low fan-fucking-tastic. But it's still a movie I fucking adore. But this, from start to finish, this is just over 2 hours. It's like 2 hours, 6 minutes. The pacing was excellent. I was never bored. I was always engaged. And at points angry, at points cheering, at points mortified, at points, but always intrigued. And I think that's the mark of a fan-fucking-tastic film. I was just having so much fun watching this as well. So yeah, fan-fucking-tastic first movie. This movie rules. Okay, now we're getting the spoilers. So I'm gonna take a sip of my water here. So if you don't want to hear spoilers, you've got a couple seconds. So here we go. Let's get the water. All right. 3, 2, 1. All right. So, if you notice, I have not mentioned the villain of this movie. And if you go back and listen to the Multiverse of Madness, our trailer breakdowns, I said that, look, I thought that if she wasn't a villain, she would be the main villain straight up. Elizabeth Olsen's Wanda Maximoff. And here's the thing. I love Elizabeth Olsen. I whether it's Wind River, she's the best thing about that terrible Old Boy remake. Ingrid Goes West, I think, is one of the best comedies that's come out in the last decade. I think Elizabeth Olsen is brilliant. I think her turn in WandaVision is inspired. I'm just such a fan of her, and to see where she's grown from Age of Ultron all the way to this point. She's had such an incredibly fun arc, and I've just loved seeing her grow. And to see her grow as an actress, I mean, she really is one of my favorite actresses, even just independent of the MCU. I mentioned Wind River, but I also completely forgot about Sorry for Your Loss, which I think she's great. I think she's great in as well, and she's great in I Saw the Light too, with Tom Hiddleston, who plays Hank Williams in that. I'm such a fan, and she gives me T-1000 vibes. Or, you know what, actually, never mind, let me walk that back. While she does give me T-1000 vibes, I think the vibes I get more from her is Alicia Vikander's Ava from Ex Machina. That's a vibe she really gives me, where there's these points she's being very sweet and very charming early on. We see in that, if you remember from the first trailer, where she's talking to Stephen Strange, and, there's sheep walking around, they're in that meadow. And I remember telling my partner as I'm watching, we were watching the movie, and I can't remember if I said it in the trailer, but I remember saying, I was like, look, Scarlet Witch does fuck around for reality. Who's to say that, where they are is, isn't the spot where you see later on in the trailer where you see all the red. And I remember telling that to my partner, and as we're watching it, we just looked at each other like, oh shit. And there's this moment where Steven's talking to her about the multiverse, asking her what she knows, and she drops America's name. And the way they play that scene out is perfect, because she smirks like, you didn't tell me your name, did you? And Steven goes, no. And the way that Wanda goes from sweet, oh, I don't know about the multiverse, to I'm going to go ahead and destroy everything around you in order to bring my kids back, it is horrifying. And she's in that mode really for the whole film. And this goes right back to one of the big complaints. And I'm going to give him shit about this because I know, like, I've said this to him and he knows I'm going to give him shit regardless. My friend Bradley, who's been on the podcast before, one of the big complaint he always has about WandaVision is, oh my god, she's not held responsible for what she did. Here's the thing. A, what the fuck are you gonna do to kill the Scarlet Witch? Like, honestly, like, give me a fucking break. But two things can be right. And what I mean by that is, let's be real, that evil government asshole who worked for S.H.I.E.L.D., he definitely drove her to that insane amount of grief she felt that unlocked her powers. Let's keep in mind that she wasn't even aware that she had. She had no idea she was powerful enough to, enslave a town. So, in the same way that Bucky being brainwashed, as the Winter Soldier, I have sympathy for them on that front. Here's the difference between Bucky and Wanda. Bucky acknowledges what he did is fucked up. Wanda thinks she's completely justified. Like, both things can be correct. And the thing that makes her story so tragic is that even throughout the film, at multiple points, Steven is telling her, like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, this is wrong. And she just doesn't care. There's this point where her and Wong get separated, and she's trying to basically go ahead and use the Darkhold to go ahead and summon this creature, essentially. They're in this temple, and Wong is, even telling her, like, there's a version of you, there's a variant of you that is happy with your kids. Isn't that knowledge enough for you to be happy? And she's like, no. And you're just like, god damn, bitch. Like it gets to a point where not even the allowances, but the compromises that Strange and Wong are both trying to make with her. They're like, look, we're trying to fucking help you out. And she's just not fucking having it. And it's depressing in the best way, because Wanda she has this tunnel vision of, I'm gonna get my boys back no matter fucking what, and I don't care what it costs. There is this point where where Steven is talking to her and flat out says, I'll take you down. But Scarlet Witch beats him to it and basically goes, look, I'm gonna come for the girl. Phrasing. I'm gonna go, I'm coming to Carmitage to go ahead and kidnap America. You can hand her over nice and easy, or we're gonna go ahead and have a fucking problem. She flat out drops the line that I don't relish hurting anyone, but she's not a child. And the moment she dropped that line, I went, this bitch is, call Drake. She's so far gone, because my fucking, actually, there's a 16-year-old this, don't call Drake. Sorry, allegedly. But hearing her say that, I just went, fuck, why are you such a cold fucking bitch? Like, there is just a point where she's so callous and just so unshakable in her mission. I went, you need to put her down. You need to kill her. But the thing is, that's what I love about her, is because it feels like, in the same way that No Way Home is pulling from One More Day, but clearly acknowledges the pitfalls and is able to avoid them because, Marvel. This is drawing very heavily from House of M as far as Scarlet Witch being just this absolute force. It's crazy how this is a better version of the Phoenix Saga, which, I mean, is essentially the same fucking thing as House of M. But as far as, the power bases and the women being insane in it. But I love how Elizabeth Olsen just doesn't fucking care. There is a point where she goes ahead and tries to kidnap America from Carmitage, and the amount of destruction she does, first off, that scene is fucking badass, because you get to see all these sorcerers, using the yellow shields to go ahead and secure Carmitage. And I mentioned it, I want to say in the trailer breakdown for this, but I really do love how Marvel is establishing the power bases as far as using the colors. Arthur from Moon Knight using purple, his power shines purple, just like Agatha's does. Scarlet Witch is using chaos magic, so hers is red. Strange is, a sorcerer, so his is orange. Like, I really do like, it's a subtle thing, but it's a nice visual way to keep track of, who's doing what. I really like that. But the way that Scarlet Witch fucks up Carmitage it's damn near biblical. The way, it's haunting the way he is just raining down bombs essentially on Carmitage. You remember in Endgame when Ant-Man looks up from the compound, he's like, oh my god, guys, we did it. And just Thanos just starts blowing up the fucking compound. That's what this felt like, but stretched out over like a 6-minute scene. She is showing no mercy in a way that, again, harkens back to House of M, where you just feel, as an audience member, you kind of almost have that internal dialogue within yourself of, is she too far gone to be saved? Because even I was like whispering over to my partner at a couple points going, I think they just need to kill her if they can, which, is so fucked up to hear myself say out loud, but kind of necessary for all the damage she's doing. So, moving on, I've got to talk about this. The Illuminati. Marvel flat out said the Illuminati was going to be in here. So we knew the Illuminati is coming. The big question was who's going to be in the Illuminati. So we get we get Black Bolt, the same actor who played him in the Inhumans TV show, that horrendous TV show. He goes ahead and revises his role here. I was shocked. I was like, really? Black Bolt? Okay. That's pretty cool. Anson Mont, by the way. He's great. It was really cool to see him actually be in the comic accurate costume. Love seeing the comic accurate costume. So we get him, we get my future ex-wife, we get Haley Atwell, which I was so happy to see Haley Atwell get to suit up as Captain Carter. That was so fucking cool. And she looks great in the suit. I mean, it's Haley Atwell. She looks great and everything, but seeing her with the UK shield, it was such a cool moment. It really made me really happy to see her get the chance to go ahead and actually be a Captain Carter. I really hope that's not the last time we see her, because she's fucking great. So love seeing her. We get Charles Xavier, freaking Charles Xavier, played of course by Sir Patrick Stewart. And so when he came on screen, I started tearing up. I cried. I won't even lie. I fucking cried. I cry all the time. This definitely made me cry, but cried so hard. And when he comes on screen, we get the white hover chair, the yellow hover chair, straight out of the animated series. And we get him in a green suit straight out of the animated series. And we get the X-Men, the animated series theme song play as he comes on screen. Such a cool moment. And everyone in my theater was like, oh shit. Like, it was such a cool moment. And I'm so happy no matter what happens. And look, and I'm, here, that's me knocking on wood. Patrick Stewart's what, 80, 81, 82? Like the man should just be allowed to rest, to be honest. But you know what? He clearly loves acting. He clearly loves the craft, and he loves his character. He even said that he'd be down to reprise his Charles Xavier again. If they can find an organic way to do it, fuck yeah, give me more. But love seeing him in this. And then, of course, we get Chiwetel Ejiofor as Mondu again. Rocking some badass dreads too. I was just like, oh my god. I was like, that's fucking cool. Looks like an absolute badass. And then the big one, or Mordo, pardon me. And then the big one, I think, John Krasinski as Reed Richards of the Throw It Up Fantastic Four. My jaw was on the ground when I saw that. I was like, Krasinski? really? No fucking way. I was shocked to see him in this, and even more shocked that they pulled the Ultimates costume Fantastic Four, which, by the way, Ultimates Fantastic Four, not good, but the costumes, I think the costumes for most of the Ultimate Universe actually really work more than they don't, but the costume here in live action looks fucking great. It makes me feel better about the Fantastic Four movie we're gonna get, and you know what? Actually, I'll take the swing now. I'll just say it now. Why not? Here's my conspiracy theory, or here's my guess. John Watts stepping down from Fantastic Four, I don't think that's a coincidence, because that was, maybe 3 weeks ago, and now we get Doctor Strange coming out. I think John Krasinski is going to reprise his role as Reed Richards, and I think he's going to direct the Fantastic Four film. You heard it here first. I'm sticking by that. I think that's happening. Okay, so we've got the Illuminati all established. So what I love about this version of the Illuminati is that they, in their universe, Stephen Strange went ahead and went nuts. We used the Darkhold and Black Bolt, as you know, if you know from the comics, or even from the Inhumans show, which hopefully you don't, because that show's terrible. Thanks, Scott Buck. But if you know anything about Black Bolt, he just has to whisper and go ahead and he can just reduce you to atoms because his voice is that powerful. You know, very, very Old Testament. And what I really appreciate about the Illuminati in this is that their arrogance. Because in the comics, the Illuminati is, you know, the multiple iterations are the smartest people in the Marvel Universe. And this group of people making up the Illuminati are incredibly arrogant for one big reason. They already defeated Doctor Strange. So because they've already done that, they went, oh, Scarlet Witch is just another witch. Like, what the fuck does it matter? And this is very reminiscent again of the rampage in House of M that Wanda goes on. I have... Okay, you know what? That's a spoiler for Never Show. Never mind. When Wanda starts killing the Illuminati, it's such a wonderful piece of horror where you just, like, the movie just starts to rip your heart out in that scene more and more and more. The way she kills Black Bolt by covering his mouth, pulling a X-Men Origins Wolverine Deadpool with him, goes ahead and covers his mouth and then makes him scream so that he blows his brains out. I was like, holy shit. Her and Captain Carter actually get a little bit of I think she actually has the most fighting time against Captain Carter, which was awesome because, you know, Haley Atwell. So, you know, Scarlet Witch makes some quip, and then Captain Carter goes, I can do this all day, which immediate swoon. Oh my god, Haley Atwell, marry me. But then she gets killed with her own shield. Wanda puts the shield through her gut, like cuts her in half with her own shield, which I screamed. I won't even lie, I screamed. I was like, you bitch! Like, I tried to cover my mouth in the theater. It made me so angry. I was like, why? So then that happened. She goes ahead and kills, oh my gosh, Lashana Lynch's Captain Marvel drops a statue on her, which I was like, that's fucked up. And I'll say that is like the weakest, I'll definitely say, of the kills. Goes ahead and kills her that way, but then goes ahead and unravels Reed Richards, which that visual, you only get like maybe a couple, a little quick blink and you'll miss it of seeing him stretch. But from what I remember, I thought it looked good. I don't know if you can do that over a full film. I don't know if the technology's there yet. So I think there's a reason they kind of were like, let's test the waters. You know, like, let's test the waters on this and let's see what the, you know, reception is. But I love the way that Wanda just goes through all these people. The one that broke my heart the most, because I knew it had to happen, Xavier goes ahead and goes into Wanda's mind, and he's talking to her very similar in the way that he's talking to Jean, you know, in the original X-Men films, or really the way he talks to her even in the animated series. And he goes ahead and is telling her, you know, like, oh my god, the Darkhold is literally weighing you down. We see a physical representation in her psyche of Darkhold being like rubble and, you know, her being trapped underneath it. And I'm sitting there going, oh my God, this is intense. And you see him reach out to her, trying to go ahead and pull her out of the rubble, and he can't do it. And then it cuts back to real time, and we see Wanda sneak behind Xavier and snap his neck. And I love that because that is a direct callback to the Ultimates run in X-Men, where Magneto sneaks into the X-Mansion and snaps Xavier's neck, you know, and says, when I was on my way here, I knew this was destined to happen. And that broke my heart. I yelled at the screen when that happened. And so the movie does a great job of really making you really hate Scarlet. Like, there's a point where, you know, the empathy that you feel, at least for me, just evaporated. And I was just like, can someone take this bitch down? And the way that they go ahead and do take her down is really fucking cool. Steven having to go ahead and fight the, you know, the evil version of himself. I absolutely love that fight because Steven uses another version of the Darkhold to go ahead and I think they call it dreamwalk, and go ahead and fight Wanda. And I'm blowing through a lot of this, a lot more stuff I could really talk about, but to be honest, I'm trying to keep it somewhat vague, even though it's full spoilers, because I don't want to spoil every fucking thing. Last couple things I will throw out though. Christine Palmer. I talked about how Rachel McAdams has more of a role in this. I really love that the version of her, the Earth 838 version, which is where Strange meets the Illuminati. I love that version of her works at the Baxter Building. The reason why that's important is two reasons. One, of course, the Baxter Building is where the Fantastic Four are based. Two, the other reason why it's important is, if you remember and think back to Spider-Man Homecoming, there is the old Avengers Tower that someone bought. We don't know who bought it. I don't think it's Oscorp. I think it's the Baxter Building. You can go back to our review. I even said it's one of the two, but I would bet on the Baxter Building. I think that in this new Earth, or maybe even the Earth 616, we will be introduced to the Fantastic Four sooner than later. I don't think we wait even for their film. I think we will see or get confirmation of that before we get to the Fantastic Four film. But that was such a cool callback, and I love how Christine helped build multiple parts of the tech for the Illuminati. Like, they show how intelligent she really is. This version of her really is. Getting to a couple more things I wanted to talk on. So I think that this sets up so perfectly for Doctor Strange 3 because we see Clea played by Charlize Theron, which, oh my god, Charlize Theron is in the fucking MCU. I cannot believe Charlize Theron is in the fucking MCU. But she goes ahead and shows up in the mid-credits scene, and she goes ahead and says, oh yeah, you fucked things up. We need to go ahead and fix it. And basically, here's why this is important. She is the niece of Dormammu, who Doctor Strange, you know, irritated the shit out of in the first Doctor Strange into breaking that time loop. They end up becoming Mr. and Mrs. Doctor Strange in the comics. She is the sorceress supreme of the sorceress supreme of the Dark Dimension. So I'm really excited to see how they continue to ramp up the magic. And in this at the end of the movie, we see that Doctor Strange has developed a third eye, and that's before he sees Clea. But he's developed a third eye because of using the Darkhold, which is a great callback to the comics. Because when the wearer of the Eye of Agamotto, whenever someone wears that, they go ahead and develop a third eye to see and peer into other dimensions. And of course, that's something that's been, you know, talked about and used in religion for years as well. I really like that there's a physical representation that he actually has a third eye now. And the actual ending of this movie, him fixing the watch, or his watch, the one that Christine gave to him, which we find out in a really sweet, clever way that I really enjoyed. When we go ahead and see him actually fix his watch, it's such a cool physical representation of him deciding to move past Christine, try to move past his trauma and truly be the best version of himself he can be. I think that's fucking awesome. And I cannot wait to see where this goes. I think the big thing that we have to talk about is how this clearly is setting up as the multiverse is starting to like really fold upon itself. I think the way this will tie into Secret Wars will be very fascinating, because keep in mind we're getting a Secret Invasion. I'm very curious how this is going to tie into Secret Invasion, because as we know, the Kree are known for pretending to be other people. So I'm really curious how that aspect is going to work. I think Secret Wars is clearly where we're heading. I think maybe it's Avengers Secret Wars, which, oh my god, if the next Avengers film is Secret Wars, actually I feel, yeah, do it, Marvel, do a Secret Wars film. But I think that's exactly where we're heading. And keep in mind, King the Conqueror, I think King the Conqueror, true King the Conqueror, is debuting in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. So the multiverse starting to implode itself and fold upon itself, that fits in perfectly for King and the Conqueror. So I'm really excited to see where this is going. But as I mentioned earlier, this is a fan-fucking-tastic of the highest degree. If you have not seen this, see it. I can't wait to go see this again. I can't wait to go see this again in 3D. But Multiverse of Madness, everyone. What did you think of it? Where do you think we're heading in the MCU next? I'd love to get people's thoughts. Let us know in the comments. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter at JHunterRealPineapple. You can follow Scott on Twitter at Nearman1st. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can find us most places you listen to podcasts. Apple, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Amazon Music, TuneUp, to name a few, at The Real Pineapple. And don't forget to like both our pages on Facebook at The Real Pineapple and Real Pineapple Games. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. This upcoming week we'll have reviews for Moon Knight as well as for my best of for 2021, and we will finally have this weekend, just because really nothing coming out that I'm super enthused to see, so I think I'm gonna review something else. But we will have we'll have our first edition of the weekly slice, which is going to be our new news show that we're going to do here once a week. So I'm really excited to get into that. But everyone, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for your support. Go get your booster, wear your mask, stay safe out there. Tell someone that you love them. We all need to hear that more. And speaking of telling people you love them, Mom, I love you. To all the moms out there, Happy Mother's Day. Stay safe out there, everyone, and we'll talk to you soon.